You can control your own destiny. And if there's something you want, go for it. For a lot of years, I was being disappointed by things. Then it's like, why do you feel disappointment? What is that telling you? And it's like, it's always telling me that there's something that I want. And so go get it, like a different way. If I wasn't being picked to choreograph, I'm like, all right, choreograph myself.
Hi everyone, my name is Priscilla Piper and welcome to the Decision to Dance podcast. Today's guest is Christine Sanctis, who is from Oxford in the UK but has been based in San Diego for the last 25 years. Christine is 47 years old and is a retired strategy consultant. This episode today is great to listen to for anybody who is questioning, are they good enough to continue as a dancer? Or for anybody who might be thinking about returning to dance but is questioning, am I a dancer? Can this be a long-term thing for me? Christine will prove to you that it definitely is. So before we get into today's episode, please make sure you follow us and give us a rating. And don't forget that you can follow us on Instagram at Decision to Dance Podcast. So without further ado, please enjoy today's episode. I first want to go ahead and get started with how and when you began dancing. So can you tell us a little bit of how you got started in dance?
Yeah, I guess typical story. I was probably like 4 or 5 years old, and I enrolled for ballet and tap and loved them and did them both for a few years. We moved away and couldn't find a similar class, so then I switched to ballroom and Latin and did that for a while.
Okay.
So, and then I went back to ballet when I was 13. And then I did a bit of modeling. So basically like danced the whole way through childhood and college, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if it was my parents who wanted to do it or me, probably me, I'm guessing.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Probably.
So did you continue dancing through your teen years as well?
So I started doing ballet again when I was 13 because I watched a German movie with bad subtitles called Anna Ballerina. And at the age of 30, for some reason, I was obsessed with her. I thought it was the coolest movie. It was about some girl who was a ballerina and then had an accident and then had to learn to walk again and whatever. So I love this movie. And like, I think it was a TV show that went along with it or something. So I was like obsessed with it that summer. And then I was like, I want to do ballet again. And my mom was like, well, you kind of stopped for like a long time. So I went back doing that. And it was one of those embarrassing things where I'm 13 and all the other kids in the class were probably like 9, 10, because like I just missed out on all that curriculum, right? But I kind of caught up and then like, slowly got to be with some of the older girls. And then I got to the one of those like weird decision points where they were like, oh, it's time to go on point, only we don't think your feet are right to go on point. And I can't remember what it was, if they were like my arches were bad or something, but I remember it being this like stab to the heart of like, I guess I got, and you know what's really sad? I made my own point shoes. So I quit ballet, like I guess. I mean, I don't know. I must have just dropped out because I just didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I made point shoes out of aluminum foil and masking tape, and I shoved them. And I just used to just trot around upstairs because my parents would not be okay with that. So when like no one was home or they were like downstairs or something, and I'd be like, I could still do it. It was yeah. And then I would hide them in my bedroom drawer. That was weird.
Oh my gosh. No, that shows how much you love dance and ballet and point. So what happened after that? You were told you can't go on point because of your feet.
Right.
So did you continue dancing?
So no, I did. I'm trying to think. I must have taken a break from like the hardcore like few hours a week classes, but then I did stuff in high school. Like there was some contemporary and some jazz and some modern I did. But it wasn't like particularly like high caliber, like demanding stuff. But I was still just doing like a class or two a week or something. So I did that through high school and did like a couple of performances in high school, whatever. And then when I got to college, I auditioned for, I went to Oxford in England, and Oxford University had just a dance company there. So I auditioned and got into that. So it's a similar thing. Like I think there was just like a company class and then rehearsals every week, but it wasn't like, hardcore. But yeah, so did that all the way through college and then moved to America and Yeah, and then not so much.
Okay, so what happened? So you were, I mean, you were saying it wasn't hardcore, but that's still staying pretty consistent, I feel like.
Yeah. So it was consistent. So I don't know if this is true. This is my hypothesis. So you know how like today the the level that kids are dancing at, like kids,
Mm-hmm.
like it blows me away, right? The
Yeah.
stuff that they're able to do. So I think there's like a generational thing, and I think there's also a maybe like cultural thing of like America versus England. But we had one American in our university dance company. I think she was like an exchange student or something, and she was like this dream. Like we could not believe the stuff that she could do. And so, she was like the center of everything, and she's doing like her quadruple pirouettes and these amazing leaps, and we're like, where did she come from? This is crazy. Um, so I think it's a little bit of like maybe like America got a little, a little earlier on the that's be more hardcore with kids.
Yeah.
Um, and then also, so I came to America when I was, I think, 22 or 23. I was doing my master's, and I came out to UC Santa Barbara on an exchange thing. So I went to if I remember correctly, it was intermediate jazz
Okay.
class, and I just signed up to go to this class. And I felt old at 23.
So
Like everyone else
this
was
was in
like,
the US at this point.
yeah. So this was like
Okay.
my first class in the US. Um, and yeah, so it was at UC Santa Barbara, but I turned up and they all looked like they were 18. And it was supposed to be intermediate, and I thought that that was kind of the level I would be at. And it was insane. I'm at the back, I cannot keep up with anything. Like the amount of choreography they're throwing at us, like these girls were doing amazing stuff. And I remember just being so defeated and being like, I guess I can't dance in America then. I don't know why I didn't think that there would be other things.
Mm-hmm.
I just was like, that time has passed. And it was like I'm in a new country and making new friends. Like I met now my husband, like I'd just been
Mm-hmm.
here a few weeks when I met him. So
And you were in
I
school.
think, yeah, exactly. So there was a lot going on. So it just like wasn't like as much a priority. It was just like, oh, I guess I just don't do that now.
Yeah.
So I just stopped.
So you stopped. How? That's
Biggest
so
mistake.
sad.
Biggest mistake.
But we're gonna get to the good stuff though. So how, I mean, obviously you returned at some point. So when
Yeah.
did that occur and how did that occur?
So it wasn't like complete cold turkey nothing. So, I mean, my husband knew I loved to dance. He is not a dancer, but bless him, he did like some swing dance lessons with me, and we were like early on that whole like having a big choreographed dance for your wedding. Like we were 25 when we got married. Like we were young, and it was so that was
Yeah.
25
Oh,
years
you
ago. No,
started
that's not
that
true.
trend
20 years ago.
then.
Right. Yeah, it was us. It was us.
I love it.
So we did that, and so we had to do rehearsals for that. And when I was pregnant, we planned a trip to Vienna, and we went to like the palace, and so we learned how to do Viennese waltz and stuff. So it was like stuff along the way, but
Mm-hmm.
like not like a weekly class. It was just like a few weeks here and there kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That I just did something with my husband, but that was it. And I remember I did jazzercise for exercise, and that was like the closest it got to dance. And I just
Mm-hmm.
remember being like, I'm here with all the old ladies, and I'm so
Mm-hmm.
cool because I can do the
Yeah.
choreography better. So
And
it
still having
wasn't
dance in your life.
right. So it was definitely not nothing, and I'm still just, like dancing around the kitchen, and, and down when I'm doing the grocery shopping of Vons, right? Like you can't not.
Right.
But it
When you
just
hear the music
wasn't
going, it's like you gotta move to it.
right. So it just wasn't a big part of my life, but it was still, kind of a little bit there, right? Um, and then I remember my daughter, I think was 1 or 2, and I think I said to my husband, I'm like, I kind of want to dance again. And somehow we found there was like a nearby ballroom dancing studio. Oh, I think it was a place that we'd done our wedding dance at, but this is, like many years later. And I was like, I kind of want to do something again. So I think it was for my birthday or something. He bought me some private lessons with an instructor. So I did a few ballroom lessons, and then we did a little showcase for like, 30 people or something.
Oh,
So
that's
we
a
did that.
lot.
Yeah, so it wasn't nothing. So it was kind of
Yeah.
like I was like tiptoeing back into dance and performing and whatever. And it felt, yeah, and it felt good. And then that instructor moved away, and nothing happened for like another year. And then we also moved, but then I was working full time, and so my daughter's like 3 by this point, I think. And so she had a full-time nanny while I was working. And a nanny picked up a little flyer for a local dance studio that was like a mummy and me class. So the idea was you bring your daughter and you know, dance with them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, wait, didn't you say that you used to dance or something? And I was like, yeah. And I looked at this and I was like, that sounds kind of cool. So we got all like, you know, I got my 3-year-old in some ridiculous outfit because she was all excited about it. And I went and I was like, they have adult dance classes? How do they not know this? Like, how have I been missing this? Or, like, for 15 years, basically,
Yeah.
that this existed and I just had no idea. And how did I not have any idea? But we go
Yeah.
there and like my daughter's like bored after 20 minutes, but I'm like, oh my God, I need this.
You're like,
So
this is for me, actually.
right, exactly. So I think it was the very next week, I think I signed up and like with my schedule, I had, oh, I know, I had Friday afternoons off. So I wasn't working, but then my daughter was still with the nanny or whatever. And I was like, this is it. So that would be like my Friday thing as I
Mm-hmm.
started doing just hip hop cardio classes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just my once a week class. It was for myself, a little bit of exercise, and it was awesome. And then it kind of got out of hand from there.
Continue from there. So then at that point, did you start adding more classes to your schedule, or what did that start looking like?
I think I started doing heels. When did I start doing heels? Because I didn't even know that that was a concept, right? Heels dance was something that I hadn't done.
Yeah.
I think I maybe just saw it on the schedule and started going to a couple heels classes.
So for context, what year was this? Do you remember around?
So this was probably 9 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it was like
That
early
makes
in
sense with
like
the
heels
heels, I
evolution.
feel like. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a little bit more kind of like jazz and heels than it is like some of the heels today, a little
Yeah.
bit. So I think I was seeing a few of those, but then there was a showcase at the studio for hip hop. So I did that, and that was after maybe like a couple months or something of starting classes again. So that was really fun, just like, you know, friends and family, whatever, all cheering. And so it was fun kind of performing again.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was one of those really random things that the studio owner got a call from these guys who put on a show twice a year at a local venue. So it's like, it's a pretty great venue, amazing stage, and it holds like 600 people. And they do this like 80s night twice a year, and they've been doing it for a while. And they're like, we kind of need something to like keep, you know, make it interesting. Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
we need dancers. And so he'd reached out to the dance studio and was like, we had 3 weeks notice. Can you put on a show and dance to some 80s numbers up on stage, right?
Yeah.
And so we were all like, yeah.
Of
So
course.
we quickly put together like rehearsals and costumes, and we just like making out of it. You know what I mean? Like this completely like grassroots, just like pulling together whatever we can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so this would be like the first time going on a proper stage since college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember before going up, like I was literally like shaking.
Shaking.
I thought I was about to vomit. Like I don't think I'd been that nervous in my life. And I
Mm-hmm.
get up on stage and it's this like out of body experience. Like I don't know if I've ever had that much fun in my life. To like have that exchange with the audience and just be like, I think it was just so different when you're a kid and you're dancing for um not awards, what's it, you know, when you do the exams, that's it. I was like always dancing for exams and getting good grades or whatever, and it was never just for the fun of it. I mean, I guess it was, it just seemed so different back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
That this was just
Just
for
for fun.
fun.
And your
It was for our
decision.
fun and the audience is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and just having that exchange with them. And yeah, that was like one of the best nights of my entire life. I mean, and wedding and birth of my
Sure, of
daughter, you know,
course.
they right.
Right.
Um,
So after that, were you like on a high and you were like, I need this in my life forever?
right, exactly. So then, and we got booked to do the next show for Halloween. I was like, can I choreograph something? And so I choreographed a number and I'm running rehearsals out of my garage. And we have like costume night at my house. And we're all like, there's like maybe 20, 30 of us or something. We're all like making costumes. I'm in like, I don't even know, like 7 or 8 numbers in the show. It was like, it
Oh my
was,
gosh, that's so
and then,
extensive.
right. And it came from like absolutely nowhere. Was not expecting this in my life. And suddenly I went from not really dancing to dancing and not really having a community of people to having this amazing community of women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, ever. Without, I mean, you know what I mean? Husband
Yeah.
and child died, right? For my mental health, for my happiness, for my just everything.
Yeah.
Like, thank
Could
God
you
that happened.
ever have imagined getting to that place after going to your class and college and being like, oh, I guess I can't do this because I can't keep up, quitting, and then, coming across this mommy and me class, and then just discovering adult classes and continuing in that, and then getting this opportunity to perform on stage and to choreograph? Like, could you have imagined that at some other point in
No,
your
no,
life?
no, no. Like that was the childhood dream, right? Like I wanted to be a kid from Fame. Like I was obsessed with the show Fame. I wanted to be, I mean, I sing too. I was like, I want to dance, I want to sing, I want to act. I want to go to New York and you know what I mean? Like that was the dream at like a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
And I was good, but I wasn't like great. And it was always one of those things like I always started becoming more and more aware when there were other kids in the class that were like better than me. And
Mm,
I'm like, and I remember having some discussions with my family about like, well, but I want to go to like performing arts school. And they're like, yeah, but you're smart. Like, are you really going to make a great living doing that? Like,
mm-hmm.
stick to academics or whatever. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember being kind of bummed, but I don't know if it was the wrong decision. Like, I don't know, because you can't like relive your life over and know where you would be, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I think maybe when you're younger, it's harder to deal with that like comparison and feeling like not good enough, and that's not what I meant to do because I'm not great. Like I know what I am, but
Yeah.
like it just seemed like back then it's like you do what you're good at, and it's like, well, I'm not good enough. So that was definitely the thing when I came to America. I'm like, I am clearly not good enough. This is not
Yeah.
for me anymore, as opposed to, but this is what's fun for me. Like I need to, and I just
Yeah.
that's the regret.
Yeah, for sure. But the thing is, though, you still got back into it. And I feel like your story now is like maybe even more incredible than it would have been if things went the way that you had originally planned, because now you get
Right.
to have this incredible story of like, I love dance, didn't think I could do it forever, stopped and returned, and now look at what all you've done. And since then, look at what all you have done and like your progress and everything, which we'll get into. But like, I love these types of stories, so I hope that you don't have regret, because I feel like these are the stories that are inspiring people every day.
Right. I think there's an element of truth in that. Had I stuck with it and had I like keep wanting to do like competitions or shows or something, but not have the like maturity that I have now to like think about it the right way, right?
Mhm.
I think there's something about just doing it for the joy of it that maybe having lived a little bit of life helps
A
you feel more comfortable with that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I feel like the older I get, the more life I live, I'm like, oh, I'm like just a better dancer because of the more life I've lived, I feel like, versus
Right.
when you're younger, it's like you don't know as much. And now it's like, oh, I'm pulling from life experience when I perform
Right.
now.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so on that note though, you in one of your captions on Instagram, you talked about how you love finding the the smallest progress as a dancer, how you're challenging yourself to grow and find that small progress, which makes you become more fulfilled. Can you talk about why you enjoy that process of finding that small improvement and holding on to it and getting excited over it and continuing to move forward?
I'd say there's like positive and negative with that, right? Um, the part of it is probably just my personality, right? I'm like a type A driven, like used to be super career, whatever, right? And so I've always wanted to make progress in every area of my life, right? And I'm always going out for the next promotion and the big opportunity at work and blah, 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 right? So that's just kind of like the person that I am. And then when I retired, it's like, well, who am I now when I don't have that? And you don't realize like how much validation you're getting from your job and from feeling that sense of accomplishment and fulfillment from your work. So
Mhm.
I think a little bit of that I put now in dance is like that's
Mhm.
the fulfillment I get of seeing my progress and seeing my growth there. It's just I just kind of transferred it to a different thing.
Mhm.
Um, the maybe kind of more negative thing is even though I'm saying, I'm so mature now and whatever, there's still you still compare yourself to others, right?
Mhm.
And being in now in two dance companies, and there's a lot of people in there who were former professional dancers, right? So there's people that just have a much more solid technique foundation than me, a lot more experience, and they're just way better dancers. And so being in a room with them and it's great that you've got something to aspire to, you can learn from them and everything, but it's like hard to not then be down on yourself about like, oh, I can't do what they do. um and so there's also a little bit of like I'm proving to myself and to maybe like the kid inside that's like I can do this, I can be as good if I put in the work.
Mhm.
And then and then to get that validation from everyone. So it's like I'd love to say that it's all completely a positive thing, but like sometimes I'm like, no, I know that that's not necessarily the best thing, the best reason for doing that, but it feels pure, just from a really pure place of seeing the hard work you put in and then actually seeing a difference
Mhm.
is just so gratifying. If you take out all the other aspects of it and external
Mhm.
validation and all of that, it's just like you work hard at something and you're better. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it just feels awesome.
Yeah. I mean, what other like I feel like what's a better feeling than that? I mean, to know that you put in
Right.
the work and to see like
Yeah.
to visually see the improvement is like, wow, I did that. And then it makes you want more. You're like, oh, I
Right.
can get even better. Well, the reason I ask that is because I feel like as dancers, it can be very hard to find that joy and finding and seeing the smallest improvements because oftentimes we want to see the big significant improvements. So what would you tell somebody if they're struggling with, you know what, I'm not as good as the person next to me and I want to be as good as they are, and they're like I should just give up, when the reality is maybe if you work towards those smaller goals and work towards seeing the small improvements over time, you can see the significant improvement.
Yeah, for sure. um I mean, the most helpful piece of advice I'd say is to just film yourself, because you see all the small improvements there that you may not see kind of on a macro level, but on a just literally a day-to-day level. Like if you go to a class and you go to class the next day, and then you can see the improvement that you made. Um, because the camera doesn't lie, right? It sees everything. And so you can see, oh, so you're working on like your extensions or something, or like I do weird things on my arms sometimes, and I'm like trying to clean that up. And so just like focusing on just like that one thing in class of being like, I'm really going to focus on my arms. And then I film it and I see it and I'm like, yes. And then half the time I'm like, no, I'm still doing it then. But it's like, but just getting that like real time feedback is like so, so helpful. Um, as for like not getting kind of down on yourself, it's also about like being in the right community where people also like that. Like I've been so lucky to find women who are also so focused on growth and like cheering each other on and supporting each other at whatever level they're at. Like there's people, more novices like who really haven't been dancing long, and some who've been dancing for a long time, but everyone, their perfection doesn't exist, right? So everyone's trying.
Mhm.
um and if you can find that kind of tribe and that kind of community where you find people who are focused on the same thing, then you can celebrate each other's wins. And sometimes you can notice things that they don't notice,
Mhm.
and vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's been really cool to find people that want the same thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's great advice. I totally agree with the filming thing, and I was thinking how lucky we are that we're able to do that now, because there was a point in time where we couldn't do that and that wasn't a tool that was utilized, and how much more
Right.
helpful it is to have it now than
I
years ago
know.
when we couldn't put our
I
phones up.
remember. So in college, I choreographed a piece. There were four of us in it. And I remember being like, there's issues. Like, I need to clean this, but I don't know how. And I've like found someone at college that had a camcorder and I could borrow it for like one rehearsal.
Uh-huh.
And so I had this one take and I just like stood up all night, just like making notes on everything. And like, that was my one chance to like see, because I'm dancing in it too, right? So it's like, you can't even like separate yourself and watch them. It's like, how does it all come together? So yeah, That was hard without that as a tool. It's so much easier now.
So much easier. You can fix things in like one take just by filming it, and or if you have a lot
Right.
of things to improve, do it multiple times back to back, and in a few minutes you've fixed the whole thing.
One of the dance companies I'm in, we do homework, sometimes weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. And so you're literally filming yourself doing the routines, and then submitting them to get notes. And it's the best thing. It's the best thing ever because you're filming yourself doing it and you think that you're doing it a certain way. And then you watch it and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm making all these mistakes or whatever. And then you do it again, you do it again, you do it again. Like, so I was rehearsing today and I think one routine I did like 20 takes of just like noticing all the little things that I could clean up. And then you get a feedback video back. Um, and it really is just the like teeny details that really elevate the performance to the next level of like, you can raise your chin a little bit more on that and just like
Mm-hmm.
have your gaze go that way a little bit more on that and just lean into that bit a little, well, I hit that one a little bit more and just like talking about the textures. And it's just, it's fun to get into the details and to have something to aspire to and work to. And you wouldn't have that without the ability to film yourself and kind of keep elevating. But then the fact that in half an hour, 40 minutes of like 20 takes, I'm like, I took this routine from here to here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't need someone else telling me, and I didn't need to be in class. That I could just like do that myself because I
Exactly.
know the information. It's just trying to train my body to do what it's supposed to do. And that's half the
Exactly.
battle.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. So I think that's a great segue into talking a little bit about the on-camera GHM intensive and the elevating choreography intensive. And I believe you've done other GHM intensives as
I
well.
did classic first. And then I did light. Oh yeah, I have. So I did classic first, and then I did light, and then I did on camera, and then I did elevating choreography, and then I've just done some other night of dance things
Yeah.
and improv stuff along the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you were talking about details and elevating. So I think this is a great time to talk about this. So, first of all, I just need to give you so much kudos because being able to watch you after doing the on camera intensive together, I mean, I just smile every time I see one of your videos. And I'm just like, your performance ability has just skyrocketed. I took notes as I was like going through your Instagram and I wrote down like that you command the room as a dancer. And I didn't know you before doing that intensive, but I can just imagine that it probably even like increased exponentially after doing that intensive. So without getting too into the specifics of like the layout and all of that, can you just talk about why you would recommend doing one of the GHM intensives to anybody that's interested?
So dance is, I forget what, 90% mental and 10% physical, right? And I think we all think it's the opposite way around, but it's so much in your brain. And that's the biggest difference, or the biggest thing that I've gotten out of any of the Galen Hooks intensives is changing the way I think about myself as a dancer. And you believe in yourself, and suddenly you dance completely differently, and everyone believes you. So, I mean, and obviously there's a lot of like technical stuff that she goes into, and other things, but the very first one I took was GHM Classic, and I remember at the end she does this, oh, she used to do this really cool thing where you're about to do your solo on camera and she would sit you down and interview you right before you do it. And I swear out of the 20 people in the room or whatever it was, like 18 of us probably cried. And then she's like, three, two, one, start dancing with the tears just like coming down your face, right? Um, and I don't remember the exact women, but I remember going in saying something like, I'm someone who dances. Like I do this for my career and I blah, 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 and I dance, but I don't feel of myself like a dancer. But after those 2 days, like I'm, I could say I am a dancer, like, with tears going down my face. And I think in the moment it was like way more impactful. It's, doesn't sound as good perhaps telling it as a story, but that was what the first 2 days with her taught me. Being in a room with a lot of professional dancers and seeing them look at me and be inspired by me and seeing that I had interesting ideas. And I always felt like such a like I don't know if it's imposter syndrome, but I just kind of felt like maybe I don't really belong because I don't have as much, technique or experience as a lot of the dancers around me. And just having her see you for what you bring to the table and what's unique about you and bringing that out and encouraging it and validating it. And I know it shouldn't be about that, but just like making you believe in yourself. And I remember coming away from that, like it was life changing. And I came back and I remember people in class were like, you're a totally different dancer. Like, this is crazy. And every single time I've taken an intensive with her, the exact same thing happens. It's like step change, like, and it's almost like you didn't even do anything. You just show up and you do the exercises and what she tells you to do, and you walk out and you're different. You're like, how did that happen? Um, but so that's why I think like a lot of it is psychological. It's like the way that you think about yourself, and it just like somehow comes out that in the way that you perform and dance in front of other people or in front of cameras.
Yeah, exactly. And the critiques sometimes are just some things that are so small, but it seems so small, but then on the outside they're significant. It's like, oh, I didn't realize I could just make this one change, even if it's just the
Yeah,
thoughts in your head or how you feel about
right.
yourself, and it changes completely the way that you dance and the way that you carry yourself as well. So your caption from the classic intensive on Instagram. That was in July 2021 that you posted, and I want to read this for you. So it says, I'm 43. I'm not a technically proficient dancer and never will be. I have a herniated disc, dodgy knees, and a messed up ankle, and I'm nowhere near as flexible, strong, and sharp as I used to be. But I have two things no one can take away from me: my love of dance and enough courage to keep doing it, to keep trying to grow and improve and have fun, despite whatever physical limitations I have. And if the audience picks up on just 1/10 of the joy I experience while performing, then I believe I've created something of value. What comes to mind after hearing that again?
Whoa, I got like a lump in my throat. I forgot I wrote that. What comes to mind is that phrase of like, what is it like? The best dancer in the room is the one that's having the most fun.
Mm,
Something like that. You can say it better than that, but I kind of really believe that now. It's like if you get out of your own way and just have fun with it and be authentic, that it's like people can't help but react to that and kind of pick up on your joy or
mm-hmm,
whatever other emotion it is that you're like authentically feeling and communicating to people. Um, yeah, I mean, I also comes to mind that it sucks that I'm 47 now and everything hurts way worse. And I do worry like the tick, tick, tick of like, how long can I keep doing this? Um, but I also see more and more that I do have value and from thinking that I didn't, you know?
mm-hmm,
Yeah, I don't know. Isn't that the best thing in the world to just like perform and do something you love, but also make someone else happy? Like,
mm-hmm.
how cool is that?
I agree 100%. What makes you love that so much?
I don't know. I guess maybe like all my life I was, working at something else, like career wise or family or, academically or something. And it's just for you. It's not, I mean, maybe if I was a doctor or something else, like I would have felt differently about it. But, it was a corporate career that I was having. I was making money for a big corporation. I wasn't saving the world. Um, so you get your validation and feeling that you're adding value to the universe, like that you are, but it's something about art that's so different
Mm-hmm,
of being able to like, yeah, telling a story or communicating emotion and then having someone else like enjoy that and pick up on that.
mm-hmm.
Um,
It's kind of just an indescribable feeling.
right? I know I'm struggling to like put it into words of what is so cool about it.
I think also too, when you are experiencing so much joy from what you're doing, and if you're like, if the audience can experience just a sliver of what I'm experiencing, then I know they're having,
Right.
then they're experiencing an immense amount of joy as well because I know I'm getting so much out of what I'm
Right.
doing. And how can you
Right.
not be happy knowing that?
Yeah. Right. And not just joy, like, because I think there's things I've done that you're not tapping into joy, like you're tapping into anger or fear or grief or anything, and just even feeling like someone else can understand you or that they can
Mm,
understand themselves better or
mhm.
just knowing that other people feel the same way or something. Yeah,
Yeah, like relate to the story you're telling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a book that I've brought up in other interviews that I've been reading recently called We Need Your Art. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it, I've not read it.
Okay. I started reading it and it started to really shift a lot of things for me, but it started to make me, well, first of all, realize that the world does need my art and I never really saw it as that. Like I just thought, oh, like I love dance and all that, but I never really saw it as how other people could get something out of my dancing and my creativity. But another part of that is something that I think about a lot more often now is how dance does make an impact on people's lives. And I used to think about how like you needed a job where you were literally saving lives to do that or in some capacity, but I don't see it as that anymore. And I feel like as dancers, we can significantly make impacts on people's lives every single day. And also we have social media doing that too, because you never know who's watching and what someone has been through that day and could be something so difficult, and then they get to watch your video and that makes them feel something that day. And there's so
Right,
many other scenarios that you can talk about, but now I know like other people need my art and other people need your art because we all, I think it also brings us back to that like human level. Like we're all
yeah,
going through life together, and being able to experience and witness someone else's art like makes you just feel things that other things don't necessarily
right,
give you.
yeah. I was really surprised. I think it was like a year ago. I got a message from an old friend. I hadn't seen in maybe 20 years or something. And we weren't that close, but she was like a girlfriend of a colleague of my husband's or something. Like I just knew her kind of a little bit in passing. But, we were friends on social media and never like stayed in touch or anything. And she reached out and she said that she'd been like, what, like following my story and watching these videos. And she was so inspired and always wanted to do something like that, but was too nervous. But then one day, like, got the courage to go to a dance class and loved it and started going to more dance classes. And now suddenly she's performing too. And just like how it totally has changed her life and
Yeah.
brought so much meaning to her life. And that she wanted to thank me for it. And I was like, oh my God. Right. So there's like a few other things like that where I'm like, I didn't realize people were like looking at my stuff. Right.
Right.
Particularly people that I mean are not particularly close to. Right.
Yeah.
Um, so
That's
that was
a
pretty
perfect
cool.
example. Yeah. And that's just one
Right.
person and you know it, and I really feel like it's happening with other people too who may not even be telling you in some way or another. So I love all of that. So something else that I wanted to talk about is redefining what success means to you as a dancer. So you talked about how you struggled with calling yourself a dancer and believing that you are a dancer. And I do feel like we, as dancers, we tend to see one version of what success means as a dancer. And usually that means when you're dancing in the industry or dancing professionally, then that means you've succeeded, right? But I don't feel like that's necessarily true, especially nowadays. Can you explain what you what your definition of success is as a dancer?
Yeah. To me, it's do I feel happy with what I did? And be like, you know what? Do I want to sit in bed and rewatch a video of me doing that routine, that performance, like 100 times over, and it makes me so happy to watch myself dance. It's so weird. Um, but did it make me happy, and does it still make me happy on an ongoing basis? Like, it's kind of evolved into that a little bit because it used to be more, will I get picked for a piece in this company? Will I get, front row formation? Um, and I'm not gonna lie, there's still like a certain element of that, particularly because as I'm looking to improve and, when I want the rest of the company to see my, improvement and my growth and kind of, get to show what I've been doing. Um, but I think when your success is tied up into the other opportunities that people give you, it just gets a little bit dangerous that you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And that's not necessarily tied to how hard you're working or how much you're improving or something. And so I just started being like, oh, I can create my own opportunities. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to teach a dance class and then we're going to film it. And so I'm doing more of just like, what do I think is cool and what do I want to do? Because if my success is just tied on what other people think of me and what opportunities they give me, then is it going to mess with me? But also, is that even reality? Like maybe they don't really see the value that I have. And so that's create opportunities that are more aligned with what I think is cool and what I think is valuable and interesting and fun and different.
I love that. I agree. I remember um like a year or so after I returned to dance, I there was a lot of filming happening in the classes, and I was often not somebody that was selected a lot to be in groups, but that really wasn't the reason I wanted to do like my own concept videos. But I also did think about how if other people weren't going to give me the opportunity, then I was going to give myself the opportunity. So then I ended up choreographing a couple pieces from just of myself solo and just like ask the videographer to film me, and then I think it starts to like then it's your piece that you're putting out and other people can see you in the way that you want them to see you, and it's not dictated on how other teachers or choreographers are selecting you or not selecting you or whatever the case may be. So
Right.
I love that, and especially that your teaching class is pretty cool. Is that something that you do often, or just here and there?
No. So here, I try to figure out ways to give myself permission to do something because I feel like terrible imposter syndrome. Like I have no qualifications to be doing this. But on my birthday, I get to do whatever I want. So the last 2 years, I do a birthday class and people have to come because it's my birthday.
That's your
Um,
party.
exactly. But then so this year was great. I did a 2 hour, yeah. So I choreographed a piece. I did a 2 hour class and then we filmed it at the end of class and then we filmed it in a rain room. And
Oh, I saw
oh,
that. Oh my
it was
gosh.
awesome.
Wait, was
It
that
was
entirely your idea?
So there was a new studio in San Diego, newish, and then they were building a rain room. And I remember seeing that. And I'd seen some footage of like some of my dance friends in LA had gone to a rain room. And I'm like, that would be so cool. Like, I just feel like it's like something like from a music video. And, it's like one of those like dream things. And I'm like, they're actually doing it. And they sent out something that was like the first 10 people or something that book it got it at half price. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, but I had some like dance friends like egging me on, being like, "Do it," and I'm like, "But what do I do now?" And I'm like, "I guess I choreograph a routine." And it's my birthday, so haha, like here's how I can like, give myself permission to do this. And so yeah, I choreographed to "Rain on Me" by Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande. And I loved it. It was so much fun
It
just
looked
choreographing
fun.
something and trying to like figure out how to do it in a rain room that's like small space and slippery and everything.
Yeah.
And we all had so much fun getting drenched. Like we were soaked. Like we
Yeah.
looked like drowned rats. So we had like hair like this. And it
How
was so
fun
much
though.
fun.
When
It was
you
like great.
left,
But
like how did you feel? Or maybe you were just like tired and wet.
I was tired and wet and cold, but I could not take the smile off my face. Like, yeah, it's like I did that. Like, I don't know. It's just a cool feeling to feel like you can control your own destiny. And if there's something you want, go for it.
Hmm.
And I think for a lot of years, I was being disappointed by things. And then when it's like, disappointed by not being picked for things or not having different opportunities or whatever. And then it's like, what is disappointment? Why do you feel disappointment? What is that telling you? And it's like, it's always telling me that there's something that I want. And so go get it like a different way. So if I wasn't, like there's a lot of choreographers in our dance group. So if I wasn't being picked to choreograph, I'm like, all right, choreograph myself.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Look.
Mm-hmm. And then now you have
Um,
the videos to show it as well.
right, right. And then just the memories of like us getting drenched and sliding and slipping everywhere and trying to pretend, no, it's all fine.
Yeah. I remember watching it and just like watching you guys, it just looked like you were having the time of your life. Like you were like laughing and having fun. Meanwhile, your hair's like getting more and more wet. But it
I
just
know.
looks so cool.
Yeah, there was definitely an element of that. Like, I think the first take, we were all still quite good. And then the water kind of went up a little bit, and we were like, ugh. Yeah.
But also what a way to like challenge yourself too. Like
Right.
now you
Right.
can do anything. That's so cool. So you talked a little bit about your daughter, and I know she does theater and performing as well. And I know that she like definitely looks up to you, and not that I know her, but I can just like feel that. So, what is something that you hope she takes away from watching you get back into dance and growing as a dancer?
You know what? I want her to stay exactly how she is and the way that she thinks about it because she does it because it's fun. And she isn't necessarily comparing herself to other people and being like too competitive. Um, and I have to stop myself from being like the crazy dance mom because even though I'm like preaching all this, like, no, just do it for the joy of it. It's like when she's competing, I'm, like, oh, you could point your toe there and you could reach. It's like, when I know with the choreography and I'm like sitting in the sitting, like, it's terrible. I just stop myself. And she like totally calls me out on it. So does my husband. Um, and so I'm trying to be exactly what I'm preaching to be of yeah, stay exactly how you are and don't get in your head and start trying to think that you're not good enough or compare yourself to others. Like just do it because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how long we can hold on to that.
I love that. And I feel like you'll always instill that in her. And I mean, you're doing that yourself. You're constantly reminding yourself of that as well. So, how cool that y'all can like be on that journey together. So, the last question I want to ask you. So, if you were outside of dance class, you're waiting on your class, and someone's in front of you, turns around and asks you, "Why do you dance?" What would you tell them?
Because I have to. I have to. Um, I mean, it brings me so much joy. I feel like I'm a better person. I feel like I can process what's going on in my life. Like it's been a rough few years. Like I lost both my parents to cancer in the last few years. I remember the week my dad died, I went to dance class every day and I cried, but
Mm,
it was great. Like that was what I
mm-hmm.
needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I lost my mom, um, there were like dance shows coming up and I was like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And I'm like, I need to do this. Like, I just need something to like get through it. And even just having that schedule of like rehearsals of knowing like I get to show up and I get to do this and have kind of that like distraction, I guess, but also to then get to experience joy again, right? And then that was also the year I joined a second dance company and like that's just brought me so much. So yeah, I think it's a very long-winded answer to the person standing outside the dance class, but um, yeah, it's a part of who I am. It's always been there, and I can't deny it anymore.
You are a dancer,
Just,
Christine.
right. Yes, I am.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. That was such a great answer. And that's so true. Like we go through hardships and to have dance alongside us through those hardships, I feel like is how so many of us get through those challenging times. So thank you so much for doing this, Christine. I really enjoyed talking with you and learning a little bit more about you. Like I said before, just being able to watch you grow is it's been so fun. So thank you for taking the time to be on here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's episode. This was really such a nice reminder of like so many of us really do just need to dance to function as human beings. And what a beautiful thing when we can get to a place where we accept that and embrace it and call ourselves dancers and know that we need to be dancing in order to get through the hardships, but also to experience the fun in our everyday life, whether that is dancing in the kitchen or dancing down the aisles in the grocery store, whatever way it looks. So many of us are meant to move and dance because it gives us this fulfillment that other things don't necessarily bring. And if there was a friend that you thought of as you were listening to Christine, make sure to send this to them. Maybe there was something in this conversation where you felt like they could really benefit from listening as well. Thank you for taking the time to be here. We appreciate you all as always and just cannot thank you enough for taking the time. So, thank you so much, and we will see you all in the next episode.